Bank teller throws black woman CEO's ID on the floor. $2 billion partnership ends in minutes. Victoria Sterling adjusted her tailored Armani blazer as she stepped out of her chauffeur-driven Mercedes in front of Metropolitan First Bank's headquarters. The towering glass building reflected the morning sun, its pristine facade representing decades of financial power and prestige. At 42, Victoria had built Sterling Enterprises from a small consulting firm into a multinational corporation worth over $3 billion. Today's meeting would seal the largest partnership deal in her company's history. The revolving door swept her into the marble-clad lobby, where the click of her Italian leather heels echoed across the polished floor. Victoria had been looking forward to this moment for 18 months. Metropolitan First Bank had courted her company aggressively, recognizing that Sterling Enterprises' international expansion services could help them penetrate emerging markets across Africa and Asia. The partnership was projected to generate $2 billion in revenue over the next 5 years. Victoria approached the reception desk, where a young blonde woman in a crisp white blouse looked up from her computer screen. "Good morning, I'm Victoria Sterling. I have an appointment with the board of directors at 10 o'clock. The receptionist smiled warmly and checked her appointment book. "Yes, Ms. Sterling. They're expecting you in the executive conference room on the 32nd floor. You'll need to get a visitor's badge from security first." Victoria nodded and walked toward the security checkpoint, where a stern-looking guard directed her to window 3. Behind the bulletproof glass sat Mitchell, a woman in her mid-50s with thinning hair and a perpetual scowl. He had worked as a bank teller for 15 years and prided himself on his ability to spot people who didn't belong in the prestigious institution. "Next," Mitchell called out in a bored tone, not bothering to look up from her paperwork. Victoria stepped forward and placed her driver's license on the metal tray beneath the window. "Good morning. I'm here for a meeting with the board of directors." Mitchell glanced up, her eyes scanning Victoria from head to toe with undisguised skepticism. She saw an elegantly dressed black woman carrying a designer handbag and wearing what appeared to be expensive jewelry. In her mind, she simply didn't fit the profile of someone who belonged in a meeting with the bank's most senior executives. "Before we continue with this shocking story that will leave you speechless, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and let me know where you're watching from around the world. I love connecting with viewers from every corner of the planet. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss these powerful stories about respect, dignity, and the consequences of prejudice." ***. Mitchell picked up Victoria's ID and examined it with exaggerated suspicion. "Victoria Sterling," she read aloud, her tone dripping with disbelief. "And you're here to see the board of directors?" "That's correct," Victoria replied calmly, maintaining her professional composure despite sensing the woman's hostility. Mitchell leaned back in her chair and let out a small laugh. "Look, lady, I don't know what kind of game you're playing, but the board doesn't meet with people like you. Maybe you're looking for customer service? That's on the first floor." Victoria felt her jaw tighten, but she kept her voice steady. "I assure you, I have a confirmed appointment at 10 o'clock. Perhaps you could call upstairs to verify." Mitchell's expression hardened. "Listen, I've been working here for 15 years. I know who belongs in this building and who doesn't. You're obviously confused about where you're supposed to be." Without warning, Mitchell carelessly tossed Victoria's driver's license back through the window opening. The plastic card hit the edge of the tray and fell to the floor at Victoria's feet. The gesture was deliberate and humiliating, designed to put her in what he considered her proper place. Victoria stared down at her ID lying on the marble floor, her chest rising and falling as she processed what had just happened. The lobby continued to bustle around them, but she felt as though time had stopped. She had experienced racism throughout her career, but it had been years since someone had been so blatantly disrespectful. Slowly, Victoria bent down and picked up her license. As she straightened, she noticed that several people in the lobby had witnessed the exchange. Among them were 2 men in expensive suits who had been waiting near the elevator bank. She recognized them immediately. They were Robert Harrison and Michael Chen, 2 of Metropolitan First Bank's board members who had been part of the negotiations for the partnership deal. The 2 executives approached the security window, their faces showing a mixture of horror and embarrassment. Robert Harrison, the bank's chief operating officer, stepped forward first. "Miss Sterling," he said, his voice thick with mortification. "I am so sorry. There has been a terrible misunderstanding. Mitchell looked up from her desk, suddenly realizing that the woman she had just humiliated was someone important. Her face paled as she recognized the board members standing beside her. "Mr. Harrison," Victoria said, her voice remaining perfectly controlled despite the anger burning in her chest. "I don't believe there was any misunderstanding at all. Your employee made his position quite clear." Michael Chen, the bank's head of international development, stepped forward. "Ms. Sterling, please allow me to apologize on behalf of the entire institution. This behavior is absolutely unacceptable and does not represent our values." Victoria looked at both men, then back at Mitchell, who was now visibly sweating behind his window. "Your values," she repeated quietly. "Interesting. I was under the impression that we were about to formalize a partnership based on mutual respect and shared vision for global expansion." Harrison nodded eagerly. "Yes, absolutely. The board is waiting upstairs, and we're all very excited about the opportunities ahead." Victoria took a deep breath, her mind racing. She thought about the 18 months of negotiations, the dozens of meetings, the detailed proposals and projections. She thought about her team back at Sterling Enterprises who had worked tirelessly to prepare for this partnership. She also thought about the message she would send by walking away from $2 billion because of one person's prejudice. But then she looked at Mitchell again, sitting behind her window with a mixture of defiance and fear on her face. She thought about every young black professional who might walk through these doors in the future, and what they might face if this behavior was simply overlooked. "Gentlemen," Victoria said, her voice carrying the authority that had made her one of the most respected CEOs in the industry, "I appreciate your apologies, but I'm afraid they're not sufficient." Harrison's face showed confusion. "Ms. Sterling, what can we do to make this right? Perhaps we could move forward with the meeting and address this issue separately." Victoria shook her head slowly. "You see, Mr. Harrison, this isn't just about one employee's behavior. This is about the culture of your organization. The fact that someone like Mr. Mitchell felt comfortable treating me this way suggests that there are systemic issues here that I cannot ignore." She turned to address Mitchell directly. "Ma'am, you made assumptions about me based on nothing more than my appearance. You dismissed my legitimacy, questioned my purpose, and ultimately showed me profound disrespect. In doing so, you represented this institution." Mitchell opened her mouth to speak, but Victoria held up her hand. "I'm not finished. Your behavior wasn't just unprofessional, it was discriminatory. And the fact that it happened in full view of your colleagues and customers makes it even more concerning." The lobby had grown quieter as more people noticed the tense conversation taking place. Victoria was aware of the audience, but she didn't care. Some lessons needed to be taught publicly. "Ms. Sterling," Chen interjected desperately, "surely we can find a way to move past this incident. The partnership between our organizations could benefit millions of people across multiple continents." Victoria considered his words carefully. "You're right, Mr. Chen. This partnership could have been transformative for both our companies. But partnerships are built on trust and mutual respect. How can I trust an organization to respect my company's values internationally when they can't even respect me personally in their own lobby?" She reached into her purse and pulled out a folder containing the partnership documents that were to be signed that morning. "I came here today prepared to formalize our agreement and begin what I hoped would be a long and profitable relationship." Victoria opened the folder and removed the signature pages, holding them up for everyone to see. Then, slowly and deliberately, she tore them in half. "However, I cannot in good conscience proceed with this partnership. Sterling Enterprises will be withdrawing from all negotiations with Metropolitan First Bank, effective immediately." The sound of the tearing paper seemed to echo through the lobby. Harrison and Chen stood frozen, their faces showing the full impact of what had just happened. $2 billion in projected revenue had just walked out the door because of one employee's prejudice. "Ms. Sterling, please," Harrison pleaded. "Let's discuss this upstairs. The board members are waiting, and I'm sure we can find a resolution that satisfies everyone." Victoria smiled sadly. "Mr. Harrison, the board members are here now. They witnessed what happened. They saw how your employee treated me, and they saw how long it took for anyone to intervene. That tells me everything I need to know about your organization's priorities." She turned to leave, then paused and looked back at Mitchell one more time. I hope you understand the cost of your assumptions today. But more importantly, I hope you learn from this experience. As Victoria walked toward the exit, her heels clicking against the marble floor, the lobby remained silent. Board members, employees, and customers watched in stunned silence as one of the most powerful women in business walked away from a deal that would have made headlines around the world. Mitchell sat behind her window, finally understanding the magnitude of her mistake. The woman she had dismissed and humiliated was not just any visitor. She was someone whose respect and partnership her bank had spent over a year trying to earn. Outside, Victoria's driver opened her car door. As she settled into the leather seat, she pulled out her phone and called her chief operating officer. "Cancel the Metropolitan First Bank partnership," she said simply, "and draft a statement explaining our decision. Make sure it's clear that we expect our partners to demonstrate respect and professionalism at every level of their organization." The driver pulled away from the curb, leaving behind a bank whose employees were just beginning to understand that respect isn't just good manners, it's good business. This story should remind us all that respect costs nothing but can be worth everything. Victoria Sterling's dignity in the face of discrimination shows us that sometimes the most powerful response is simply walking away with your head held high. If this story moved you, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more incredible stories about courage, dignity, and the consequences of our choices. Share this video with your friends and family to help spread awareness about the importance of treating everyone with respect, regardless of their appearance or background. What do you think about Victoria's decision? Would you have handled this situation differently? Let me know in the comments below, and remember that every interaction we have is an opportunity to show respect and dignity to our fellow human beings.